Get rid of this guy. Okay. Just move this here. Okay, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Super. Okay, so everyone knows your home screen in Command, correct? We all know where to log in. We all know how to get there. And
Yes.
what I'd like to talk about is opportunities. A lot of agents are getting accustomed to calling this like their transaction management. And I want to start changing how we view opportunities, right? We all are familiar with the term like a sales pipeline, correct? Right? Sales pipeline.
Yeah.
Agents have them, our office, right? We have a sales pipeline as far as like we call it a recruiting pipeline, right? So we would use opportunities, which is over here. Again, if you click your little red box up here in the left-hand corner, it'll show you what these applets mean. So a little hand holding, this is your opportunities. So I really like to tell agents, this is your sales pipeline, okay? So this is start to finish. So the minute that you're having a conversation with someone, and let's say you have a new contact, a new client that you're talking to, and they seem interested, whatever that may be. Maybe they're a lead that might take 6 to 9 months. Maybe they're a lead that takes 12 to 18 months. That's okay, but you want to put them into opportunities right away. And why do you think that is? Why is it important to put someone into an opportunity after like your first meeting or your first form of contact?
Well, the potential of it becoming a business, right? A transaction.
Absolutely. That's a great start, right? And what's a better way to track your conversations and knowing where you are in the process than putting them into something like a sales pipeline, right? That shows you, which is what's great about these opportunities, is that you can use the settings feature here, and there's different things that you can change. And as far as how many tasks do you want set up in the cultivate stage? How many times do you want to have to reach out to them? Do you want to text them? Do you want to check in with them with an email? Apparently it's one of those days where my internet's going to be extremely slow. So we just get to sit here and stare at each other's faces while the things load today, which is totally fine. Okay. So what I love is just to make sure if there's one thing that you do today after this call, aside from utilizing this, would be to come in and really look at your opportunity tags, what they look like, and how you can also do client updates. So as far as, do you want your client to be notified as you move them along stages and phases within opportunities? So those are just some things that we want to make sure that we look at. And what you're going to do, and on the right hand side here, just so we know, the reason also why we want to utilize this, the more that we put into this sales pipeline, right, the more this program will be able to tell you what your potential and probable income will look like. So right now, the probable income shows 0, right? And potential income is 58,000 based off of this one person I have in the cultivate stage over here. So as I continue to use it, the AI starts to get smarter and smarter, and my probable income will change. So that's, again, another feature of why it's important for us to get this information in as soon as possible. So what we're going today, you can see here, there's listings, buyers, and leases, okay? So Alicia, you said you were working on a lease. So you want to make sure when you go to create an opportunity, you're choosing a lease, okay? I'm not going to go through a lease today because it's very rare, but it will be very similar to the same steps that we utilize. Okay, so the first step, I have someone, I want to put them in. Number one, are they a contact in my database? If they're not a contact in Command, am I going to be able to create an opportunity for them? This is where we participate. No, yes, correct. Alexa's shaking her head no. So no, right? We have to make sure that they are in our contacts, which is over here, right? Make sure we add them as a contact in our database. And then pretty much the whole world opens to what you can utilize as far as communicating with that person once they're in contacts, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and click create opportunity. It's gonna ask you a couple questions, okay? So it's gonna ask you your market center. Okay, so it says Palo Alto. If you're on a team, you need to make sure that you select your team, okay? A lot of these will funnel through, if you're on a team, it will funnel through the Rainmaker, and then you'll get assigned the transactions. Now, if you're the rainmaker, then you need to make sure that you're selecting the team. And then if you're designating it and sending it to someone to assign it to, there will be a field in here that says assignee. Okay. So if it's just you, there won't be, this will be grayed out. Opportunity type. So again, you'll see listing, buyer, landlord, tenant. So Alicia, this is where those will come in handy for that lease. So I'm going to go ahead and do a buyer. I can see that I'm the owner, so I'm using Eunice's command right now. And then client. So you can start typing your client's name. And if they don't come up, again, what's that mean? They're not in your database, right? Now, what oftentimes happens is someone that's on a team will go in and start to create an opportunity, and they're like, hey, why isn't my contact coming up in the opportunity? So they have to make sure, if you're on a team, that you're adding the contact to the team's contact database too, okay? Or else it won't come up for you. So a lot of times we see this happen with productivity clients. So they'll have their own database and they forget that in the right-hand corner of their profile, they need to switch to the team and add that same contact into the productivity coaching contacts as well. So they can utilize that in an opportunity. Okay, so once I select my client, you see you have an opportunity to use a co-buyer if there is one. The opportunity name. Okay, so if I have a listing opportunity, this would say Jenny Finley, say the client, and then list, okay? And then right away you would put the address, right? Because I know my listing is 123 Main Street, okay? So for a listing opportunity, you should always include the address, okay? For the buyer, obviously we know that we're just starting to talk to this client. So do we have anything under contract yet? No. So it's just gonna say Jenny Finley buyer, okay? Any custom tags? So you can say like, maybe this is a luxury client. Any other fields that are pertainable to that client, custom tags are wonderful. So again, you can use that in setting up your opportunities. Okay, estimated close date. So we're saying this client's looking, I'm gonna say they're probably looking at like the end of March, okay? And again, everything with the red asterisk is the only things that need to be filled out. Everything else is optional. Okay, I'm gonna say my commission rate. I'm an awesome freaking agent, so I'm keeping 3% of my commission. And I'm going to say this person is in appointment phase. So I've already talked to them. We're getting to the appointment stage. We're gonna start setting up schedulings. See, scheduling. And then I click create, okay? And then it opens up the details of the opportunity itself, okay? So I want to touch on a few other things. So you see up here, client updates is off. In that settings that I showed you guys earlier, if I turn this on, every time that I move something or add a document, it'll notify that client. Like, hey, Eunice has added the seller property disclosure or like whatever it is, okay? The other thing, see this check up here? This is your checklist. This says 0 out of 0. So that tells me for each of these phases, you guys see this arrow I'm using up here, this cultivate stage, right? There's no checklist for this stage. Nurture, there's no checklist. Hot. So I'm in scheduling. What do you think is something that would be important to have in a checklist during the scheduling phase of working with a client? So it's not scheduled yet, but we are working on scheduling. What is something that I could check in with? What's the task that I could set up for myself to make sure I don't miss the opportunity to ensure I really set this appointment with this person?
Would a task be you need to give them a call? You need to check in on them?
Beautiful. So we're going to say send text to check in and confirm date of appointment. Okay. Do you want the client to be updated? Probably not, but let me set a due date. So we're trying to schedule for Friday. So let's say I'm going to make sure I text them by Thursday at 11 a.m. Okay. So now I can see I save this. And now guess what's going to happen on Thursday morning when I log into command? I'm going to have a little task on my home screen that says, hey, text Jenny Finley, your client, that you should confirm that you guys have an appointment tomorrow. Beautiful, right? And so there's other things like maybe it's, I need to send them an MLS search, right? On a couple properties before the appointment so that I can start getting them what interests are, what is important to them in a home? What homes are they connecting with of saying like, oh, I like these features, right? So This, you guys, is like the creme de la creme. This is where you go in, make it yours, and then you don't miss anything because your checklists are already set up for you. Okay? So again, you have all of these you can do in every single step of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and X out of there, but just know these little checklists, which I believe we have some already made checklists you guys can look at and see if those work for you, and you can add them to your own command. So I'll find those. Alexa, am I going to get those to you guys somewhere? Okay, so now in the details section, I can see we have our general information on the left, and then we have our property information on the right. What's important here is when I'm working with a buyer, as soon as we say we go under contract on 123 Main Street, I need to make a note, or to my admin, again, this could go in the checklist of that under contract phase, that says update opportunity details, okay? Because it's important once we go under contract now that I update this opportunity name to buyer 123 Main Street. And why is that? Why do you think that's important?
Is it so that you know exactly the address of what it is when you look at the name, right?
Yeah, and when I'm looking at my pipeline, right, I might know my client, but like sometimes it's easier to capture like, oh yeah, and they're on 123 Main Street, instead of having to open up the opportunity and then see the address. It's a lot easier if we already have that in the name and the title. And it also helps your compliance team to find your files a lot quicker when we have the address in the name itself. The other really important thing here is this pencil right here, which I know is kind of hard to see if you haven't used this before because it's like very light gray, but this also needs to be updated with the address, okay? Especially if you have a listing. If you have a listing and you don't update this property information section and you go to submit a commission request, you won't be able to. It will give you an error that says this hasn't been entered in the KWLS. And you're gonna say, what the heck, what does that even mean? It means you haven't edited to add it to the property information, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and put that in here. And it's gonna find 123 Main Street. I'm moving to Pleasanton apparently. And it fills in the rest of the information for me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click save. So now my property is entered, okay? The next tab is your buyer profile. This will tell you, are they registered with your consumer platform? Meaning, have they used the KW app? Is that where they've been utilizing and looking for properties? So that's what it shows you on this tab. The next one is your documents section, okay? And the first step here is this guy right here. Pick a checklist type. If you just start going crazy and adding new custom folders and uploading documents, the compliance team is going to come back and say, oh, bless your heart for being so proactive and uploading things, but you got to start over and pick the checklist, okay? Because we use these templates for a reason so that we know and you know what needs to be uploaded, what's required of you for each transaction. So again, if you're doing a lease, Alicia, you will come in here and it'll do the same thing in here. So you'll choose a lease opportunity type, you'll come in here and choose that checklist type for either tenant or landlord, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and do residential. As you guys can see, there's referrals. So if you have a referral incoming, you're receiving a referral, you still need to create an opportunity. There's new construction, there's manufactured homes, and there's condos and townhomes, okay? So it's all separated out for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and click residential. And now you can see on the left, I have 3 folders now on the left-hand side. So each one of these you wanna review, okay? So this shows in the consultation folder, is there a W-9? So like if I'm sending a referral and I need the W-9 for that company, right? So that my MCA or my commissions person can make sure that they have the information required to send that referral on your behalf, okay? And then we have our under contract folder, okay? So then it shows you the list of documents that are in the file that are required or conditionally required, right? Or optional. And the conditional required shows information next to it. This commission demand should be required, honestly. That's always in there. Eunice, can you make a note to change that? That commission demand, that should always be in there. So if it's conditional, it will say next to it, condition required if transaction is a trust sale, right? So you just want to go through here and get familiar with these conditional items so that you're prepared when you step into a transaction of what's going to be required of you. Okay, you can also sort these by requirement. So if I click this, I now have all of my required documents from the top down, so that everything else is conditional or optional goes to the very bottom. So I only have to worry about what's in the red. Like I know I have to have these. Does that make sense? So the next step is, right, so I'm gonna go on this consultation with this client. We're gonna go get ready and we say 123 Main Street, we wanna present an offer. So I am going to use this over here and do start a transaction. And this is gonna take me to DocuSign. So one of the great things about Keller Williams and our CRM and our database and our technology is we have a partnership with DocuSign, right? So we have these DocuSign rooms. Can anyone tell me the difference between a DocuSign room and your regular DocuSign e-signature account? Megan, you're on mute.
I'm muted. The room is specifically for a transaction, right? Versus DocuSign would be all of your documents.
Yeah, so an e-signature account, right, DocuSign is where you go in and you pretty much drop in a document and send it to get signed, right? So a DocuSign room, is anyone familiar with .loop? That's a transaction management system. So you had a loop and it would house all of your documents for a transaction. Your room is very similar as a .loop, okay? So it's the house of where you store all the documents for a transaction. And what I like to tell people to do when you first get in here is create a folder. See over here, it says room docs. So no matter what I put in, upload, sign, send, it will always spit it into this room doc folder. I like to tell people to add another folder. So actions, add folder, and I do fully executed docs, okay? And why I like and suggest that you do this is so that as you get completely executed signed documents from your clients, you can put them into that folder and then it's much easier to find them and upload them to command. You just sync them over and it's like beautiful once you already know where they are in that file, okay? So there's a few things in here. You have your details. So you want to make sure that you have all of your clients' information. So this pulls from the information in command. So if I scroll down and I look for my buyer on the right-hand side, it should have all of the information. So here's mine as an agent. And then I probably missed the buyer. And then here's my buyer, okay? So I just want to make sure their name's in here and then their correct email that they'll be using to sign, okay? If there's additional buyers that need to be added, you can do that here as well. You can use the edit feature and add them here. Okay, so now what do I need? I need a document to sign, right? So there's a couple different ways you can use this. You can upload and save templates, which we've done a class on that previously. You can also add from your zip forms. I have no idea if this is going to work or not, but you know, we're going to try. Let me see if it has. Nope.
This is a whole process to get your zip forms into your DocuSign.
Yeah, so this is, if you haven't done this step yet, you meet with a Megan or an Alexa, and they will help you connect these. So I'm assuming I didn't have Eunice go this far this morning to have her sign the rest of this in for me. So we are going to pretend like we opened up zip forms inside of your DocuSign room. So you don't even have to go to another website. You literally sign in, it opens it up, and it has the list of all of your car forms right there for you. You can select what you need, say, okay, I'm going to need all these documents, these disclosures. You click add, and it spits them all back into this room. Okay. I'm sorry, I apologize, I didn't have that done, but let me grab a just blank PDF, and we'll use that as an example. We're just going to call this the RPA. Okay, so we're going to say that you can also upload straight from your computer here. You can also send it straight to the room via an email, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and do downloads and say this came from my zip forms, and my RPA is now here, okay? One thing I like to note as well, when you get ready to send this to your clients as an envelope, if you have missed any required fields that are in that CAR form from zip forms, it will not let you send it. It will come back with an error that says you can't send this envelope, okay? So you have to make sure that your form's completely filled out before you go to send it. So the next step would be, okay, I went in, I filled out all of the requirements I needed for my RPA. I'm gonna get ready and send this to my client. So we're gonna go to envelopes. Everyone should be familiar with envelopes. And what we're going to do is we're going to click this blue button and click a new envelope. And we're going to put please DocuSign RPA for 123 Main Street. And I'm going to select my room documents, right? I'm going to grab that RPA. And again, you can do multiple. So if you're sending multiple disclosures at once, you can continue to add more room docs there. And then you can add recipients. So what's great is once you have your client's information, you can use room participants instead of having to manually add their name and email every single time you want to send a document. So now you can see your list of people that you can send your envelopes to. So this is my client. That's me, right? And then maybe I need to sign something as a buyer agent. So I can select both here. You can also set them as an order. So if you want someone to sign it first and you want them to sign it second, you can change that placement of order. You can also change who needs to sign. Maybe they just need to view it. Maybe someone just needs to receive a copy. So if there's other people that you need, you can also utilize those features here. So I love that. Okay, so then I'm going to do RPA 123 Main Street. You can include any message you want at the bottom. Please review and sign. And then next, we'll go over here, click that yellow button at the top right. And it's going to drop you into that signature side of things. And so you'll see here, look at our beautiful RPA. Yes, Zoom RPAs are my favorite RPAs. So simple, so simple. So what you're going to do is in the left-hand corner, you're going to see a drop-down field here of your clients. So you'll either have one client or you have multiple, and it changes colors, right? Depending on who you're utilizing. So I have Jenny, she's my client. She needs to sign. So we'll say, okay, she needs to sign here. She needs an initial down here and the date that she signed. And you do that each page that you need, okay? Done, done, and done. You can preview this before you send it if you need to. You can add text. I'm not going to jump into all of this stuff, but you can utilize all of these things over here, okay? And then once it's ready, I'm going to go ahead and click send. And missing fields for recipients. Oh, that's because I didn't add Eunice. And I said that she needed to. So what's beautiful, see how I go in? I can correct it. So if you send an envelope and say, uh-oh, I forgot, that person really didn't need to sign. I'm going to go ahead and fix that. And then you can just resend it and edit it. So as long as there's no static signatures on the document yet, you can edit it. So that's pretty cool. And then what we do, right? You can now see, here's my envelopes I have sent out. You can click on this. You can see the current status. So you can click more and view envelope history, and it will show you when it was recreated, when it was created, corrected, and then resent. And when that person opened it, so you can kind of follow up and say like, hey, I saw you reviewed it. Do you have any questions if they're hesitating on signing or anything like that? Okay. So once it is fully executed, it will come back. Let's see. So it'll say waiting for others. Let's see if that worked. Maybe I sent the wrong one. Hold on. Oops. I'm just going to show you what it looked like. Okay. And then once it's done, yay, Jenny signed, good job. You can see it says completed. So now when I come back to my document section, I have 3 different uploads here. So this is my original. This is my signed version. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a little green check mark here. And then this is a certification. So this is a DocuSign certification saying that it's done. So I want this guy up in my fully executed documents. So I'm just going to go ahead and click this. And then up here, you can see when I click that box, it gave me some options. I can download it, I can archive it, I can create an envelope straight from here, or I can click move. So I'm going to go ahead and move it to a folder in my current room, right? And I'm going to choose fully executed. And I'm going to move that there. Do you guys see how that can be really helpful? Like if you have a lot of disclosures and you get a lot of stuff going on down here, it's really helpful to have this as you continue to sort through things. Does anybody have any questions on this side of things, on this aspect of utilizing DocuSign rooms instead of just going to like zip forms itself? No questions on how to send an envelope, how to get those forms from zip forms? So if you haven't yet, make a note to connect with Alexa or Megan to make sure that those are linked, because that will be really helpful for you all. Okay, so once that's done, now I know I need to come back to my command, right? And I need to make sure that my RPA is ready to go and I can upload it. So you can see here, third one down says purchase agreement, right? So I want to grab that from DocuSign. So what you can do over here is you can attach files. So if you try to upload something from your computer, it's not letting you, make sure you check right here. Because a lot of people don't realize that you have to change this. So you can either do manual from your computer or you can do DocuSign. When I click DocuSign, it shows what working folder. And I don't want to scroll through all my room docs. I just want to see what my fully executed documents are, right? So now I do fully executed docs and I come down here and I click select and look at that. It is ready for me already there. You guys, I can't get over how wonderful and easy and such a time saver this is when you really utilize this at the highest level. So as you can see, I dropped it in here. Okay. As soon as I'm getting some documents in, let's say I've got like 5 or 6, I'm ready to go. I always say submit to MC as soon as possible, especially with an RPA, because we do want those to be looked at within about 72 hours, just to make sure that the contract is good. There's not any red flags. With a listing agreement, does anybody know how long you have before you need to have that submitted to the office for a listing?
24 hours.
Hey, gold star, Alicia. Yes, thank you. 24 hours. So you have 24 hours. You have a listing agreement, 24 hours, submit it into command to the broker so that we can review it and make sure it's good to go. RPA, PRDS, 72 hours, right? Needs to be uploaded. And within those 72 hours, we also request that you fill out your commission request, okay? So what happens here, we're gonna go ahead and submit that to the Market Center. It's gonna say, are you sure you wanna do that? I'm gonna say yes. And now on the left-hand side, you can see this was submitted, okay? So there's a few things to note here from the compliance team. If you don't submit a folder, we don't see it, okay? It doesn't come up for us to say like, hey, Alicia just went under contract on 123 Main Street. You should go look at her stuff, go review her files. We don't see that. We don't get that notification unless you hit submit. So it's really important that you use that feature. And then also making sure that we're checking in with our command database and our transaction management throughout the process so that you know if you have any errors or things that need to be updated, you will get those notifications within your folder. So if I come back and I say, okay, I'm gonna review this and there's something wrong with it, you can come in here. I don't know if it'll let me since it's my own. If the compliance team says, hey, there's something wrong, they will reject this document. So there'll be a little red X here. And then if they want to, they can return this whole folder and it will say returned. So anytime you see a rejected document or return folder, that means it needs your attention. And where do we get those notifications when that happens? How would I know if I had a rejected document in my folder? This guy up here. This is your bell. This is your notification system. Similar to like your push notifications on your phone. Similar here, right? So you check this. This is where the notification will come through. It'll say, hey, you have a file, a document that was rejected in 123 Main Street. So you'll go look at it and say, hey, what needs my attention? I need to fix it, re-upload it, and then do what? Resubmit. Because if you don't resubmit, we don't know you changed anything. So submit, resubmit, very, very important, okay?
And Jen, really quick, if you guys have the KW app, you will get that notification on your phone. So that's why it's super important and really cool that we have the KW mobile app.
Yes. So then you don't have to worry about logging into like your laptop or a computer. You can get that notification straight from your phone and say, oh yeah, I need to go make sure this is at my attention and take care of this. So absolutely. Great point, Megan. Thank you. Okay. So we've submitted, we've resubmitted. I'm still within that 72-hour window. So I know that I need to come over here and fill out my commission request. So I'll run through this quick with you guys. Again, we have to make sure we have an offer, right? First. So you can call it whatever you want. I just leave it as initial offer. The offer date, your projected close date, and then the property address. So there's my 123 Main Street. It's going to pull it up from like Google. So just make sure you click that and then go ahead and click parties. Again, anything with the red asterisk is what you need. So our seller, say Donald Duck. Representation. So you can see here's my name. I'm the buyer. This one is Mickey Mouse. You're welcome, Disney lovers. And then the next part is your sales price, right? So you have cash if you have a down payment, okay? And then let's say you have your finance amount for whatever that may be. Again, this isn't the most realistic thing in the world, but you know, you get it. So it's a little over 1 million for the purchase price, okay? So that needs to match what's on your contract. And then down here, again, these are all optional. You can fill those out if you would like to. And then agent analysis. If this was an agent that you loved working with, that you want to just note of like, oh my gosh, I definitely want to work with Mickey Mouse again. I mean, best energy, most loving human mouse creature. I want Mickey Mouse to be part of KW. So you could put all the pros here and then copy paste them, send them to your TL and be like, I would love to introduce you to Mickey Mouse. He will change your life. Okay, so we'll go ahead and click save. And now we have an offer here, okay? You can add multiple offers. So if you put an offer in on 123 Main Street and you're like, I have to get accepted, you can add another offer for another one, right? It's really great on the listing side as well. So you can put all the offers that you receive for your seller, and then it'll actually create a link, a landing page that will show the side-by-side comparisons of all the offers for your client. Looks really, really nice in a presentation, right? Of like, hey, here's all the offers we got. Here's what looks best for you. Let's go over these. So I just like to add that little tip for you guys. Once you're ready, this was accepted. This offer is ready to go. It now says manage commission, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and open that up. Again, if you see any of these red triangles, that means you gotta fill something out. So I'm going to go ahead and hit edit general information. It says what was the contract date. And I'm just going to go ahead and put today and save. Okay. So you can edit any of this general information. If your commission changed, if the total commission changed, then you need to come in here and edit that because this has to match the total commission down here. Okay. So that's that part. On the right-hand side, you can see my summary. Right, so it shows my total commission, how much I'm paying to the office, my royalties, the company commission, so that's company dollar that I'm paying into the office, deductions, and then my net, right? That's what like my take-home amount. Now, if you are adding another agent, so let's say Alicia is working with Eunice, then Alicia would add Eunice as the other agent and use her as the 0.5 unit. So if you're working with someone in the same office, our same office, you can use them on the same commission request, right? If they're from another office, you're paying them as like an outside referral, or if you guys are working together, you would do half of your unit in your office, half of the unit in their office, okay? So I'm gonna come down here and I have some deductions. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that edit agent payment, okay? And I am going to, so yeah, if you change this, you can do calculate commission and it'll do it for you. So nice little feature. So we come down here, we have Bold Scholarship, we have KW Cares. I'm going to drop some $10 to KW Cares because we love KW Cares and what it provides. And then extra payment options, okay? This is important. So add item. You want to make sure if you have a transaction coordinator that you're paying, that's a deduction, right? So we do deduction. We're going to say we're paying $450. We're going to do transaction coordinator. We're going to say it's Radica TMS. I'm just going to use what's here because it's just super simple. Okay. So you're going to fill out everything with the red asterisk and click add. Great. So now I have one in there. And let's say I have a credit to my buyer. Okay. That's also a deduction. Okay. So I'm going to do a deduction. I'm going to say it's 5,000. I'm going to put credit to buyer. I'm just going to put the same thing because that's how it's going to reflect on the commission demand. And then honestly, this address doesn't really matter for this. So I just go ahead and put the office and click add. Okay. And once I'm done, you can see I have my transaction coordinator, my credit to buyer. What else am I missing, right? We have our transaction fee. So I have 125 for Palo Alto. I have my transaction fee. Alto, same here. And add, okay? So I have all my deductions done. I'm going to click Save Changes. And now you can see over here, I can see my breakdown of my deductions. And I can also see my net payment here, which will reflect at the top right here, okay? So you can see I'm going to take home $14,383. The other important thing to note here is add note. So what do we need in our notification section of our commission demand, right? So in order to get paid, if you want to get paid through a wire at closing, right, from your escrow officer, we need to know your escrow officer's name, their email, their phone number, and then the escrow number, okay? And then if you are in anything like productivity coaching, you would put like PC coaching, transaction number 2. And I would put like, if you're unsure of like how to add anything in the actual section itself, use the note section. You can write as much as you want. So you could put like I'm paying 10% to Heidi and 10% to Jenny Laswati. If you're unsure of how to add them in the other section, that helps us. When we pull it in, we can take those notes and say, okay, we can apply those and then send it to you and make sure that it's correct. Okay. So note section, very important. Save changes, right? And then as soon as I'm ready, I'm going to go ahead and click submit. Okay. Our compliance team will not review a commission request without a submitted purchase agreement. Not going to happen. So if you don't have a purchase agreement in your file and your disclosures, you're not going to get your commission demand. So that's why that 72 hours is really important, so that you can upload your contract, review it, get your disclosures in there, and then submit your commission demand to the office. Okay. Any questions on how to submit the commission request? No. Okay, great. So what happens after you submit it is we get a notification as an office. We go in, we review your commission request. We look at your RPAs and your purchase agreements, make sure they look good. We pull it into our system, and then we generate the commission demand, right? And then we send that commission demand to you to review, and then to your escrow officer as well. So you review it, you have to approve it. In Cupertino, we're still having agents send it to their escrow officers. And then in Palo Alto, we send it on your behalf. So it's really, really important that when you get those from the office, you review them in a very timely manner so that if we have to make any edits or updates for you, we can. So the sooner the better. Okay, so once that's done, you'll receive the commission demand back. Make sure that gets uploaded. Okay, once we receive the closing, same process, right? So we receive either a check or we get notified from title that there's wires coming in. And what happens is 3 days before closing, we'll review all of the ones that are coming up, and then we'll send the escrow officer approvals of like whose files are done. They can have their commissions wired to them at closing, or it'll say, no, that cannot be dispersed to them. Please send the funds to the office. So it's really important that 5 days before closing, you should have everything buttoned up. Like it should be ready to go so that when we go to look at it to say who can have their commissions released to them, yours should be no problem, right? If we're a week ahead, like in 5 days ahead of time, you should be getting paid on time every single transaction, right? So it's just making sure we're being consistent and following up with what's going on in these folders. And then just make sure you always check your close folder. So this one has your final closing statement that needs to be uploaded there as well. And then once it's all complete and the transaction is closed, we want to make sure we move that opportunity in the pipeline to close, because that's how we can track, right, in Command how we're doing, like how many units have I closed. So I will show you that. I also wanted to show you guys there's a timeline here so you can see everything that's happened in this opportunity since it started. So that's also a nice feature. Like if you're checking in on an admin or transaction coordinator and you're like, when did you send that to the office? Did you send it on time? You can always check your timeline. Okay. So I'm going to come back to my sales pipeline. And I am going to go to my cultivate. Oops, wait, where did I put me? I'm a buyer. Okay. So I know I was in appointment. Okay. So as we go through the process, I should have moved my opportunity along with it, right? Like we already went through under contract. So the little hand grab, that's to move it, okay? If you have the little pointer finger, that's to open the opportunity, okay? Some people get a little confused with that. And so I'm just gonna drop it, drag it up here. So now you can see it's in my under contract. So you see how easy it is to just kind of move those over. And then once I'm closed, I'm going to drop this up here, saying that it says, hey, it can't be closed within closing dates in the future. So I'm just going to say, you know what? I went under contract and closed in the same day. So now you can see it's in my closed, okay? So now if I come back to my pipeline, look what happens to my GCI now, right? My probable and potential now change because this one's confirmed that it's closed. So the volume you can see down here, volume 1.4 million. Okay. That's how you use opportunities. That's how you use it for transaction management. I know it's kind of like an overview summary, but if you have any particular questions, Alicia, Olivia, anybody, I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have right now. I'll just tell you, like, the time frames are the one thing just to stay on top of. 24 hours for listing agreement, 72 hours for purchase agreement, 72 hours for your commission request. Really helps you stay on top of it.
I have a question. My listing on, but I choose the residential, but I see the list, they have a residential townhouse, right? Should I change it to the townhouse because the property is kind of a townhouse?
You're listing a townhouse?
Yes, but I already choose the residential because I'm really not that familiar with this system, so I choose a residential. And but I just saw your list has a residential townhouse, so should I change back to the townhouse?
How many, do you have a lot of documents uploaded already?
This is a listing. We just signed a listing agreement.
Okay, then I would change it.
Oh, okay. I already submit, and then feel like I cannot change it. It's correct, or I can change it by myself.
Yeah, you should be able to change it.
Yeah, but yeah, I just choose the simple residential. So right now I want to change it to the townhouse, but can't work.
Are you saying it's not letting you?
For what?
Is it not letting you change it?
No, it's just marked and submitted. Then I cannot change it.
Okay, in your listing agreement, can you remove it?
In the listing agreement? What do you mean? I didn't get it.
Yeah, so in your listed folder, because if you just have your listing agreement uploaded,
I already uploaded.
yeah, can you remove it? Like to the right-hand side, it usually lets you remove it.
They just asked me to update. It didn't say I can remove it.
Okay, that's odd that it won't let you change the template type. Let me try something.
It's how to change it to the townhouse. And how to change it? It don't let me to change.
Well, it's probably because you've already submitted.
I think that's
Yeah.
just a minute. Yeah, the same. Oh, it's marked.
I think they maybe changed that. Yeah. I'm wondering if you would need to archive this one and start a new, since you've only have the listing agreement. If you just archive this one and start a new one. Because it looks like they must have changed this feature because now you can't go back and update that. So what you would want to do is go back to your details of the opportunity and click this lost opportunity and just start a new one for that contact and choose that condominium and townhouse.
I got it. And could you go back to the listing pipeline? Could you go to the documents? Yes. My questions. Oh, you still have a DocuSign room. It's for the listing, right? But my website didn't show the DocuSign link.
You don't
So,
have the go to transaction feature?
no, I do not have it.
Does it say start a transaction?
Yes.
Yeah, that's because you haven't created a room for that transaction yet.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Just click that link, then I can get to the DocuSign room, right?
Yes, you got it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank
You're
you.
welcome, Olivia.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Awesome. What other questions do we have? Alicia, do you feel like you feel pretty good about starting your lease opportunity now?
Yeah, I do. I just probably once I'm submitting the documents, then I'll have questions.
That's pretty normal.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Not a problem. Okay, anybody else have any questions on your pipeline? Again, those checklists are the one thing I would say to go work on if you have an hour that you can dedicate to your business this week would be to set up those checklists for your opportunities because they really, really come in handy when you're starting to get into that sales pipeline. Eunice, did I miss anything that you know of?
You're good.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. If nobody has any other questions, I will send you all on your way. No, nothing.
Thanks, Jen.